Hi everyone, welcome back to Steps Towards Growth podcast. Today is part 2 of our last episode, which was why we were going on a social media detox. And it's been a week and now we're back and we're ready to talk about it.
Was the most shocking when you stopped social media? Like when we just started it, like a couple days or a couple hours into not having social media, what did you notice?
Maybe it's because I was really fed up with social media in my phone, but I feel like it really didn't affect me much. I remember we deleted everything and then I just continued on with my life. I didn't really think much of it. It was definitely hard because I had to tell my friends and stuff, and then we had to find out how I could communicate since some of them I can't talk to with regular messaging. But I figured it out.
Yeah.
What about you?
I, same as you, I wasn't too distraught by it. I noticed that when I was at work and I was going on my breaks, that's the first thing I would do. I'd be like, oh, where's my social media? Oh, wait, I don't have it anymore. And I'd be like, but why am I even wanting to go on it? It was just like a habit.
Yeah.
So that was interesting because I did not notice that I would do that before. And then the part, I know I already talked to you about that, but the part that really shocked me was how difficult it was to wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember, but I actually was wondering about that because I was telling you how that's how I wake up. I would right away in the morning, my alarm goes off and I would open social media and I would just scroll to wake myself up for 5-10 minutes. And then I get up and then I don't stop for the day, and it would work. However, there, I did not have social media to wake me up for that 5-10 minutes, and I struggled so bad to get out of bed. I never hit snooze, and I didn't hit snooze, but I would get out of bed, and I would be so groggy, and I could not wake up. And that took all week long. It was terrible. It's like coffee, technically. It started going away on day 8. So the entirety of our social media detox was terrible, but on day 8 or on day 7, that's when I started all of a sudden one day like that. I was okay to wake up without social media.
Since you're saying that it took you over a week to get out of that habit, I think that really shows that our brains are really forgiving with that stuff. And I think we've talked about this while we were on our detox, but it's crazy how you feel like you're going back to being a normal human being.
Yeah.
And I also would use it to wake up too.
Yeah.
The thing with me is I always hit snooze.
Okay.
Just that I would be a bit late getting up.
How you were saying about the brain, how it's true. It's weird to think that my brain, it took me 7 days to get over the hump of waking up, that issue there. So that's crazy, don't you think? Or do you think it's long, or do you think it's short, 7 days for me to detox from it, basically?
I'd say it's pretty short
Yeah.
because it could take some people over a month even to break that habit. Lots of people say it takes 30 days to form a habit or whatever.
Yeah.
But, and I personally, I believe it takes way less than that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that in another episode, right?
Yeah. What would you do in your spare time to replace social media?
Actually, I have a funny story. Not funny story, but I was telling you the other day about that. I would sit in silence. And then I loved it. I would just sit and do absolutely nothing and look at nothing and listen to nothing. And I'm laughing because if somebody would have seen me do that, they would have been worried for me. But it was the nicest. It was great. I was able to relax. Usually I'm always doing something, looking at a video of a neighbor that insulted another neighbor, and then looking at a video of how you can take care of your skin, and then looking at a video about this dog doing this. Because that's the other thing I noticed, is that it was hard for me to wake up. However, once I was awake, so within an hour after waking up, I did notice that I was way less hyper, like ADHD hyper. I was way more stable. I was able to focus better and to be calmer. So I think in a way it was hard for me to wake up, but down the road my days were easier. So it was a good thing. So I don't know if it's an addiction, I don't know. But to answer your question, what I did during my free time to relax, I would, instead of scrolling, I would do nothing, and it was great. And I'm still doing that, by the way. I'm not going on social media now. I try and do nothing. What about you? What did you notice that you did? Did you get bored too?
Yeah, about boredom. I think I really learned how to be bored again, actual boredom. And then what I did was I started researching about boredom and how it actually makes you stronger. So that was really interesting. I learned a bit more about the brain, and instead of scrolling, I would go and look into topics I was really interested in. And I don't know, I can't remember much about what I really concluded on, but I think over time the boredom turned into creativity, and then I started finding different things to do that I wouldn't have thought of before we did this. When I go to school, when I'm on the bus, since I'm on it for almost an hour every morning, normally I go on Snapchat and just snap everyone, and I'm just on my phone the entire time. But instead I started reading books on the bus. Now that it's lighter out, I'm finally able to read. I also noticed that I observed everything way more.
Observed?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like when I was outside, I would observe the birds and sounds.
Oh.
And that was really nice. My goal last episode was to be more in the present moment, which I think I really did.
Yeah, to stay in the present.
I had to be where my feet are for the first time in a while.
Which is really hard. It's hard for the human to do that. For a
Yeah.
human being to do that.
What else? I did a lot of baking, and I also did a lot of schoolwork. I sound like a nerd, but it wasn't like that. It was like I actually had stuff to do, and my screen time went down almost 50%, which Dad was saying that gave me 50% more time to do other stuff, which was right.
You're saying you sound nerdy. I think that's interesting though, because technically you're not being a nerd, you're just being a kid. Don't you think? Like, maybe nowadays that would be considered as being a nerd, but don't you think it's interesting? In this society it could be seen as nerd maybe, but it's not at all. You're just living life.
Exactly. When you do go off social media, I'm sure a lot of people can relate, but you do feel more like a kid again. Personally, I loved not being able to see everyone and talk to everyone. Because I wasn't on Snapchat, I never opened my camera. When you're on Snapchat, that's the first thing is your reflection. So the only time I'd see my face was in the mirror, or if I actually did take a picture on my normal camera. I never saw any really pretty people on social media. I felt way better about my appearance, and I didn't worry about what I really looked like. I didn't wear makeup the whole time.
That's crazy. Even as an adult, I see what you're saying. I didn't see people. I didn't see people living their life. In Instagram, weird. And it's true, it does put way less pressure. You noticed that as a teen, I noticed that as an adult. So that was the same.
Yeah. It was crazy, the benefits that it gave me, and I really wish more people did it, to be honest.
I loved it too. I loved not having social media, and I'm actually not really back on it. So I have been on Instagram and Facebook since, but I didn't re-download the apps. I just go through Safari, This is what I'm thinking about. We go from one extreme to the other. I went from one extreme of being on social media all the time, scrolling, to never, because we did a detox.
Yeah.
But I wonder if the conclusion is not to go in between, in the middle. So to be able to go on social media maybe, I don't know, 20 minutes per day or 10 minutes per day, you still go on it. There's still not benefits. I don't know, like, it's still fun, it's still entertainment.
Yeah.
But if it's 20, 30 minutes per day, I don't think it's that negative. Do you think going a little bit on it would be as negative for you as going on it for 3 hours in the day?
No, I wouldn't say you should use it to wind down, because it's actually not winding you down, like, for bed or whatever, because that's what I do. I scroll right before bed. But I think everything is good in moderation, and you're right, like, I have some apps back, like I don't have TikTok, but I have Snapchat and Instagram back on my phone, but I hardly go on them, or I try not to now. I think, personally, I liked being completely cut off.
Okay.
But it is good, like, it is entertaining.
What were your worries? Do you remember?
Just my friends. My friends were all pretty good with it, but a lot of them I didn't talk to that much.
And was that okay, or?
Yeah, because then I just saw them at school. But it really shows that you only have about 2 close friends in reality.
Yeah.
Which is the case for me. Like,
but that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like you don't need to be that connected with everyone in your town or whatever.
Yeah. Personally, as an adult, I didn't really notice a difference in terms of the connection part. So I feel like that's the biggest gap between teens versus adults. I feel like for me, and maybe for other adults, the social media part is really the entertainment part, the scrolling part, which is not good either. But for you, maybe as a teen, it's more the connection part.
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
Everyone scrolls and everyone knows what's happening in the world and everyone is connected with each other and talking to each other. And I think that's what makes it so bad. What I found interesting is I heard that social media and I guess scrolling like really affects social anxiety. Like my generation is more prone to social anxiety because we have phones, and it's crazy how it's like you can almost never walk up to a person. Like someone was walking towards me and I like was worried that they're gonna come up to me, so I immediately grabbed my phone and went on it just because it's that scary being around people you don't know, and just the social part is crazy. But my grandpa, for example, will go up and talk to a stranger and become friends with them. So.
Yeah, that's so true. I see what you mean. I do believe, though, in my opinion, that capacity to go and walk up to people and all that comes with age too. Because you're only a teen, that would be scary. I feel like some teens would be okay with that. But I think I'm not sure if it's your generation or if it's just that you need time to grow into that. Because your grandpa, too, is an adult, right? Imagine people that are listening to this, would you suggest for them to do a detox? Or?
Yes, but I think the only reason why we went to this extremes by deleting everything was because to break that pattern, you have to go to the extremes and actually cut it off.
That makes a lot of sense. So you're saying in order to find the balance down the road, maybe you should go from one extreme to the other to cut it cold turkey? Is that how you say that in Canada?
Yeah.
And then to reinstall it gradually? I've never thought of it like that. Maybe, yeah. Sometimes it's hard to break habits, right? What's interesting, I think, with the fact that we're recording today is that we did the detox, the 7-day detox last week, and now it's been a week since we've been back on it. So I think it's good also that we left that week after, because I feel like I found my balance of going only like 10, 15, 20 minutes per day, or none, not at all. Today actually I didn't go at all on it, and I didn't even think about it. And it's only 5:30 p.m, but maybe I'll go tonight, but usually by then I would have went on it a lot. What is your routine this week since we went back on it? Did you find yourself in a routine too?
I think I'm still trying to find that balance too and that routine. Personally, I really wish that I still didn't have all of it.
Yeah.
But like I said, like pressures with friends, they really wanted me to get it back.
Actually, can I talk about that? So on Sunday we had a little adventure, let's just call it like that, and we needed help from other people, and that is where I forgot about how helpful social media can be too, because this is exactly how we reached out for help. So I contacted people by phone, but it was a pain, whereas you posted something on Snapchat and you got 10 times more answers than me. So social media can also be extremely helpful. On Facebook, that I posted on a group to get help. So that could be a benefit of social media, maybe.
That's true.
As long as it's balanced once more.
What people need to know is that we're making it seem like we had the best week of our lives and that it was more than we could have expected or whatever. And it was good, but also there's things in life just happen and there's nothing you can really do. Obviously, that's why we've been really delayed. But I think I just wanted to put that out there that even though we had a great week, there's always still stuff that happens. Even when you're living slow or slow living and it's all normalized on social media, in reality it's not like that, because still hectic things happen.
I like that you're bringing that up because it's so true, right? We still had normal life happen. Tell me if you agree. Should we conclude it by saying that yes, social media in excess is really negative on the brain, on the way of living, on self-esteem, on so many other things. But it can also, in little pieces, it can also be helpful in a way too, or be positive, or be okay, I guess. The conclusion is maybe just having a balance is fine in social media.
Not every teen is gonna agree with me. Like, I'm sure some people just really don't want to give social media up, and that's fine. But I think personally for me, like who I am, I'd much rather be living life without it. But it's also hard when you decide to start a podcast that you want to grow. I have to put myself out there on social media. I think I'm still figuring it out, but I do recommend what we did to
detox
everyone in the world. I think it was really nice and really important.
The conclusion is that both of us, we were doing that for fun, and technically both of us are really reducing our social media because we want to, not because we have to, or for as an experience. Down the road, it naturally did feel good for both me and you, even though I'm an adult, you're a teen. Next episode we will have a guest, so that's going to be very exciting. As always, feel free to check our social media, ironically, with our topic today.
Our Instagram is the same as our Spotify. It's just Steps Towards Growth. We also have YouTube.
Oh.
So our YouTube is Steps Towards Growth Pod, I think. But I'll double check.
Alright. See you next week. Don't hesitate, as always, to put comments or to follow us and to get more information. Or if you have any questions. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Bye.